happening, world? This is America. My name is Hobson McCain.
My name is Mark Raywright.
And if I just started off by saying Space Force, you might think that we were on our fake news segment, but we're not. This is the economic segment. Almost say economic segment. I'm sure, as most of you know,
It's the future.
Mike Pence on Thursday announced the sixth branch of the military is going to be launched as soon as 2020. It's called Space Force.
Space Force.
As cool as that sounds,
It's fine.
Space Force is a dumb idea. It is. Unfortunately, it really is.
It might be the dumbest idea I've ever heard of, bro.
I mean, and before we reiterate how dumb it is, we're going to say that the purpose behind Space Force is not dumb. Like, we're going to give you, I'm going to give you a little background real quick, okay?
Go ahead and explain it to him.
2007, China had a weather satellite that was broken. And so they launched a missile into space and destroyed the weather satellite, and it created a debris cloud. And ever since then, Mike Pence and Donald Trump have been no, I'm just saying, I'm just joking. But, this alerted America to the fact that there are some substantial space capabilities that other countries have in terms of destroying satellites. And as we've grown technologically in the past few decades, a lot of our military operations and missile targeting systems are operated through satellites. Now, theoretically, China could use a similar missile that it used to destroy its own satellite to destroy a vital satellite in the military's operations, and it could, really hinder us and immobilize a large portion of our military, right?
You're blacked out, you can't have that.
Yeah, legitimate concern. But
It's tough.
the Air Force Space Command,
Uh-huh.
which is not to be confused with Space Force.
Not
This
the
is
same thing.
Air Force Space Command,
Two different entities.
was founded in 1982 to deal with problems such as this. It has a budget of $8.5 billion a year, and America has one of the biggest military spending budgets in the world, if not the number one. So $8.5 billion, 36,000 people that are involved with the Air Force Space Command. So we have people delegated to deal with this problem.
But no. Space Force.
It's not enough. We need Space Force. So Donald Trump and Mike Pence announced that we are going to establish a sixth branch of military that is going to be able to wage war in space.
Space Force.
And, I understand the premise of it, I guess, protecting your satellites, but I don't know if they know that we already have people working on this, right?
I think that I feel like they have to know.
I mean, he is the president, the commander in chief.
Bro, there's so many other things we can spend the money for the Space Force on. Like, if we wanted to focus on this mission, couldn't we just fund the Air Force program that deals with this better? Like, couldn't we just give them more funding instead of wasting, $8 billion to start the Space Force?
Yeah, that's the White House is pushing to invest $8 billion for the initiation of Space Force.
We already have a Space Force. It just ain't called a Space Force. You know what it is? Donald Trump want to be able to say that that's my, I did that for the U.S. If I can't say that I did anything else, I gave the U.S. greatness. I gave you the Space Force.
And I think that there's a lot of secondary effects. I can't think of the word, but secondary effects that having a military branch in space, based in space, could have on the globe, right? So let's talk about Air Force Space Command. Air Force Space Command is designed to facilitate technology that can operate in space in order to aid the military on Earth, right? Because up until now, all of the wars and major conflicts have been fought on Earth. We had the space race where we were seeing who could get to the moon first and developing technological ways to get to the moon, right? But we never had war in space. So this is sort of a solution that for a problem that isn't really there yet. But what this could do is one, cause other leaders to feel the need to develop a space force and literally push us to be having wars above our heads.
We don't need to have wars in our atmosphere. I took a handful of environmental science classes at Lehigh University, and I've learned that everything that we're doing on Earth is ruining the planet. So I'm assuming that if we get to letting off bombs in the atmosphere and, doing things in space and having things fall from space, there has to, I'm sure that we will try, I'm sure that the Space Force will have a section delegated to make sure that nothing falls onto the Earth. But I don't know if they would be competing with the Air Force.
If you look at how uncontrolled war is now in terms of how many laws we break, like there's laws in war, right? You're not supposed to harm civilians that aren't involved. America's been blowing up civilians for decades on accident. Like,
part of the reason why terrorism is a thing, because people don't like people getting blown up. It makes sense. Not saying it was a good thing, but there are casualties of war that aren't warriors.
Yeah, and so like just looking at how uncontrolled war is now on a terrestrial scale, if we expanded that to space unnecessarily, like if Russia was up in space developing laser beams and Enterprise ships that were going to be shooting down all our satellites and whatnot, then maybe I could understand we utilize the Air Force Space Command to further expand our intergalactic capabilities. But there isn't any other instances of people developing a military branch in space. So who are we going to be fighting a war against up there? So if people were to be using their space force to attack our space assets, then I could maybe understand a formation of a military branch of space, right?
This is preemptive. This is, to stop that from being a possibility.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Air Force Space Command is preemptive. That was what that was for. 1982.
For like 30 years.
Yeah, 1982. We've had that. So,
come on, bro.
I mean, like you said, we know that the Donald has a real big ego, and he likes for his name to be on things, and he likes to be on the front page of news and all that. So I really think that this was, just like you said, just a ploy for him to get essentially what Space Force under his name. So forever after this, it's going to be Donald Trump's Space Force.
He'll be in the history books for implementing a Space Force. And don't let the Space Force actually do something productive. Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Trump would declare himself the greatest president in the history of all presidents just because he started the Space Force that we didn't need when he started.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that in the next like half century to century, like we will be more mobile in space. So maybe then a space force would be necessary. But like we said, the Air Force Space Command is already there. We already are developing technologies for space specifically, for protecting satellites, for defending against um, extraterrestrial attacks. Not extraterrestrial in the sense that aliens are coming to attack us, but extraterrestrial in terms of attacks that happen off of our terrestrial planet, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, I don't want to say, Space Force sounds real cool. I'm not gonna lie. If I was gonna be in the military, Space Force would be something that I would be like, maybe I'm gonna be a Space Force guy.
Donald, he might want us to really have a military in space.
I mean, that's what it
Like,
is. It's the sixth branch of
bro,
the
because
military.
have you watched the interviews? Like, have you watched people at his rally trying to explain what the Space Force is? That's why I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Space Force as seriously as his supporters are.
Bro, they don't know what it is.
They don't know what the Space Force is, bro.
They don't know what it
They
is.
were, they were asking them what the Space Force was. And these people, they're like, it's a force for space. We're going to go and protect space. And I was just like, what, bro? Like that doesn't even sound like it makes any sense. Like, I just don't understand. Like, what could you, besides tasking it with protecting our satellites, what else could a space force do that we're not already doing? And we're already doing that. The Air Force, like you said, has a branch delegated to protecting our stuff and, helping the military from space. So, the Space Force has what purpose? That's why I said that we might end up in outer space. Like, that's all I can think of, like Star Wars. That's what he thinks of when he thinks of the Star Wars.
It's not gonna be
Bro,
like Star Wars.
That's
bro.
how ridiculous the Space
I
Force
feel
sounds to me.
like that was his image of it. It was like a Star Trek type thing. Like we're about to be the explorers and the first forerunners in space and all that.
He said it's 2018.
Yeah, I mean, but
We
bro,
went to the moon how long ago?
Flint, Michigan got dirty water still, bro. Like
There's,
there's still
not
hunger
funny,
in the
bro.
world. We got
It's
so
not a
many
funny
problems.
cause. It's not a funny thing, but to me, it's so nonsensical how serious everybody is about this Space Force. Bro, Flint, Michigan has, like you said, they haven't had water since I was a senior in high school. I just graduated from college. When I graduated from high school, they didn't have clean water. Doesn't make sense for us to be focused anywhere besides on Flint, Michigan.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just like,
And
especially
y'all are saying we're gonna spend $8 billion on the Space Force.
And that's just a start off with. It's going to cost a lot more money to establish a branch of military based in space. People don't understand that, like, that essentially means you're going to be training soldiers, like training soldiers in space, training people how to fly new space vehicles, new space
training
guns, like
soldier astronauts.
yeah, and like that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money and a lot of implications that
Bro,
we could be spending a lot. We could be using our energy a lot better. Like we have the Russian investigations. Maybe Donald, you should be spending your money on clearing your name or your administration's name. We got
got
Flint,
money for that,
Michigan
though.
not having no water. We got the fact that when Puerto Rico got hit by a hurricane, they had like a $5 million worth of food that got rotted in a truck or something like that.
Yo, let me say something real quick, because this is directed towards the people that use, like, if you haven't been noticing, like, I checked our emails. People have been on our YouTube videos. As little views as they get, there have been some upset individuals on our YouTube videos saying all types of stuff about us, not knowing what we're talking about. So I want those same people to explain to me why we need a Space Force and why it is important, why I shouldn't laugh at it, and why I should be praising Donald Trump for implementing a Space Force instead of getting Flint, Michigan some water. Instead of getting Puerto Rico all the things that they need.
That's a call to action.
There's a lot of things that you can be spending your money on, Donald, if you want somebody to pat you on the back.
That's a call to
Space
action
Force
to you,
ain't-
viewer.
So,
You know.
that we don't know what we talking about. Tell me how Donald Trump know what he's doing. Explain that to me.
At the end of all of our videos, we always ask for comments and suggestions and topics and all that stuff. And like Mark said, we do have some comments. We have comments on a lot of our Facebook videos, but less so on our YouTube videos. But the comments on our YouTube videos are a lot more heated. But you know, we welcome all comments, right? We respond to all comments, and you know, we will engage in a conversation with you if you're willing to have it.
I just want you to understand that I think that I'm right, and if I'm wrong and you're right, I'll agree with you, because there's been times on the show where, you know, you've been right and you've corrected me, and I'll agree with you because, you know, some things are right and some things are wrong. And those are the facts.
So look, we're giving you our perspective. In the comments, leave your perspective. Do we need it? Do we really need a Space Force? What is Space Force? What purpose does it serve besides spending money that we don't have? Why don't we get Flint, Michigan more water? These are the questions that we have about Space Force. Leave some that you have. Now, with that, we're gonna close this off. It's been seemingly a comical episode. You know, we like to make it a little lighthearted from time to time, because a lot of the things we touch on are so serious and not funny. But this one, to us,
I wish this was fake news.
Yeah, you know, that's why I said at the beginning.
The Space Force was fake news, bro.
It sounds like it, but anyway, make sure that you like, you comment, you subscribe. If you're not going to like it, comment why you don't like it.
Yeah, explain it to us. Let us know. You know, tell us how we can make our videos better.
If we're not worth subscribing to, let us know why, so that we can
be a guest.
Exactly.
If you're really that passionate, ask to come on the show and talk to us.
You know, we're, like we said in our last episode, we want this to be a interactive show. We want you, the viewer, to have input on what we talk about, to be able to have a conversation back and forth, not just me and Mark, but between me and Mark and you. So make sure you guys are listening, like, comment, share, subscribe. We're gonna keep posting videos, keep the content coming, keep things that we feel you guys will find relevant. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the past few episodes. We're gonna keep it going. See you.
Be safe.